So I think I don't really have that much to say. I hear that all the time, and I want to talk to you about why that's totally not true. Hi, everybody. I'm Ricky Heller from rickyheller.com. I'm a book coach and editor, and I help you finally write that book. Discover what it is you have to say, organize it so you can write it, and then write that book. It's the best feeling in the world. So when I hear from people who are thinking about writing a book, one of the comments that they make quite often is, I'm not sure I have anything that important to write about. What do I have to say that people would be interested in listening to or reading about anyway? And the fact is, we all have something important to say. It's all in how it's presented and how people resonate with it. So I want to just mention, if you think about some of the most popular authors. The one who comes to mind immediately for me is Liane Moriarty. She's a novelist, and I devoured like all of her books. I binge read her books a couple of years ago. I had never heard of her. I read one of her books. It just drew me in. I read them all. She's the author of Big Little Lies and Nine Perfect Strangers and The Apple Never Falls, many, many others. But the thing about Liane Moriarty is she writes about average people. She writes about suburban moms who drive their kids to soccer practice. She writes about single women in their 30s and 40s who are worried they're never going to get married. She writes about regular dads and regular moms and regular people. And if you describe what one of her books is about and who's in it, one of the first thoughts you might have is, well, there's nothing special about that, right? But that's the whole point. It's because there's so much that's relatable in it that people are drawn to it. Now, she's also an amazing writer. Of course, that's part of it. But I want you to understand that it isn't always that you need to have some topic that's way out there or something brand new that people have never thought about before in order to have a successful book. In my case, I spent over a year writing a weekly Substack column about my dogs. Now, I'm not a human mom. That wasn't meant to be. I'm an absolute dog lover. We have two dogs, and they're kind of my outlet for all my maternal instincts. So I treat them like my kids. I don't dress them in clothes, though. No, totally against dressing dogs in clothes. They're dogs, but I love them to bits. And I wanted to write about how, as a human, I learned so much from my dogs. Now, this has been done before, and not everybody's interested in dogs, but I was able to write, I think, more than 60 weekly columns about my dogs, and it was easy. It was a pleasure. It was fun. I loved writing about it because that's a subject I'm passionate about. And so if it's something that you have an interest in and it's something that you feel passionate about, even if other people have written about it, that is not a reason to avoid that topic because your particular personal spin on it is going to be different to begin with. And if you have that passion and you have that feeling that this is something you're interested in, you're going to be able to write about it and you're going to find plenty to say and it's going to resonate with other people. It's funny because when I switched topics at the end of those weeks, I had promised I was going to do a year's worth of weekly columns on my dogs. And so that time was up. I had a few extras. I think it came to like 59 or 60 columns total. And then I switched topics and it wasn't the same. It didn't have the same energy. It didn't have the same ease. So now I've switched again. But what's interesting is in writing about my dogs and day-to-day experiences, walking my dogs, feeding my dogs, playing with my dogs, my subscriber numbers doubled during that time when I was writing about my dogs because people were drawn to that topic. They were drawn to that writing because it was something that came from the heart, something that I valued myself and something that felt good for me to write about. So that's really the thing to think about is that it has to be something that's important to you and that will naturally resonate with other people. So don't worry about if other people have written about this before. What makes your writing different is your particular personal angle. What's unique about you will make your writing unique as well. So that's really important. And then the last thing I want to say is if it's personal in that way, we can make the personal universal. And that's what we don't realize, that the more personal you get with your writing, ironically or paradoxically, the more personal you are in what you write about, the more universal your story is going to be. So instead of trying, for me, instead of trying to write about what it's like to have a dog in general and all the dogs and pet ownership in a very general way, I specifically honed in on actual experiences I had, actual events, actual specific instances of encounters with other people and other dogs. And in making it that specific, I'm actually creating something that's universal. And I think what most people worry about is, well, that's so specific that nobody's going to be able to relate to it. But it's actually the opposite, because there is a germ of something universal in each of our own personal experiences. I think it was William Blake, the poet, who he started one of his famous poems by saying, to see the world in a grain of sand. And I love that line, because what he's saying is, it's just this teeny tiny grain of sand, this very specific and very distinct thing, and yet it represents the whole world. And it's the same with your writing. The more specific you are, the more detailed you are, the more it's going to resonate with more people rather than fewer people. So next time you think about, oh, I have nothing to say that's new, I have nothing to say that's going to bring information that didn't exist to the world before, or this topic has already been written to death. No, that's not a problem, because you are unique. The way you approach it's unique, and your specific experience is actually going to resonate with an audience way bigger than you might think. So I hope that's helpful. That's one of the first things we need to do when we think about writing our book, which is hone in on our topic. That's something I can help you with in our book builder session that I offer, or you can follow these videos. Please subscribe, follow for more. I'm going to be talking about the next steps going forward in videos that come up in the next couple of weeks. If you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter, just go to rickiheller.com/subscribe, and you will receive emails in your inbox every Sunday all around writing and stories, some stories about my dogs and stories about writing and all the things related to writing your book. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you again next time.